Hi, my name is India Hansley. I am a rehabilitative psychology major here at the University of Maryland. I'm a junior, and I'm here today with.
Hi, my name is FTWI. My major is environmental science and concentration in marine biology. I am also a junior here at the University of Maryland.
In today's discussion, we're going to talk about how we can improve communication with family and work relationships. The goals today is to present the problems of communication, identify the barriers, and to give advice for positive communication skills and or active listening skills. So we're gonna start off with a scenario. Um, just a little quick scenario, then you can have a question afterwards. So you come in after a long day of school. Your mother's mowing the lawn, and the garbage truck just came to get the trash. Your mother is cooking in the kitchen, and she first begins to talk to you about how your day was. After a brief conversation, she starts to yell at you about your room not being clean. What are you focused on?
If it wasn't my mother, just because I respect her and her word. Um, Other than that, I'm not really focused on anything else. I'll probably be annoyed that she's complaining to me about my room, but that's about the extent of my knowledge of how much she's not training.
So, follow up that question um, is how do you listen or process information?
Um, I just I just listen. I store stuff. I just store information in my head, the important information, and try to remember it as best as I can. I talk back when it's necessary and be like, oh, so like it's kind of like this, or try to make a metaphor out of it, try to make it make sense in my own head, try to make sure that I understand it fully.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm more of like a rephrase, reorganize type person. I have to like spit back what you said so I can keep it in mind because I have like really bad short term memory, I guess. So the way that you process information is very unique and different from others because of the different listening types. You got informational, which is more like a person who like just listens to the facts and just remembers the facts. You got the critical, which is more of that critical thinking. They like to take the facts and all the opinions and stuff like that, and they mesh it together and see what the message really is behind what you're saying. And they got the empathetic, where they're more sympathetic for you. They get what you feel. They feel what you're feeling. So they're more like the people you go to who have those type of feelings for it. So my next question comes to what role do you play in your family and or work environment?
The role I play in the family is more of a supportive role. I guess they come and talk to me when they truly do need it, or like when they truly have a situation they're having, whether it be little or small, like compared to like going on the internet and making an appointment for their doctors to what happened at work to some more personal matters as green cards and visas and international stuff. I just listen and try to help them as much as I can, as calmly as I can. And it's like you're the rock when everybody needs you, they need you, but when they don't, they don't.
I know for my family, I'm more like I would say I'm more like a person like you go to if you need a laugh.
It's always a good person to go to when you need a laugh. You always need a laugh.
Yeah, but then the family and work environment, think of it as like a small group, and within those small groups, you have roles such as leaders and supporters. So in the leader position, you got examples such as the task person, which is a person who comes up with the ideas. They come out and they differentiate all the other roles out. And then you also got the advice giver, which is more like they support the ideas that the group is giving, and they add on to it, or they're those people that maybe feel down and stuff like that. And then you got the supported roles such as your time management person, your information provider, your information selector. You're in well, it's called interpreter, but it's more like a managing cultural conflict. So like your common ground type person. And then you also got the harmonizer who helps out manage this conflict, which I would put you more as like a harmonize or interpret because how it is. And then you got the potential release or more like the person, but that's personality and more person like people like more, or like you come to them and like they just you have a good time with them. Identifying these roles can also help you identify what type of listener you may or may not be. After identifying what type of listener you are and the role that you play in your family, we start to look at the barriers and the issues with communication within the family and with relationship rules, which brings to the next question: what challenges do you face, or do you think others face, with the correlation of communication in family relationships,
Some of others.
or others? You can think of it that way.
I would say, yeah, I would say that as being a child in the family, it's hard to get them to listen fully and respect your knowledge or your intelligence from prior past experiences. That's because you haven't been through enough or I'm older than you.
So it's kind of like you got to prove yourself.
Like it's not about proving yourself. You just have to live long to understand. Just because you live long, you understand. Or that's how they base their knowledge, or that's how they base us talking. Because if I try to involve myself in the conversation, oh, you haven't lived it. You haven't lived long enough. You know how old I am. That type of stuff. It's more of just not willing to listen because of who and what you are at the time.
I know from my family is more of like how to deal with solving conflicts. More of like, because being stubborn yourself, it doesn't help that everybody else is stubborn around you. And you got to deal with other stubborn personalities. So you're never getting something done because everybody is set dead in their ways.
I understand that.
There are different types of barriers
Mm-hmm.
that you face, and we break it down with the physical, psychological, or personal. Physical being more of those background noises, those outside distractions. Psychological, having to deal with other people, negative or positive, in the team. And then personal is your speech to thought ratio, prejudice, or lack of preparation. So the next question I asked is, well, you kind of already answered it, but I am going to ask it again, which is, do families have problems with communication because of generational differences?
I did answer this already, but I'll answer it in a kind of different way. Yeah, they do. Like, no matter what, and where I'm from Eritrea, which is in the Horn of Africa on the east side. So my grandfather versus my mother versus my mother compared to me. I'll start with my grandfather with my mom. Since they lived in Eritrea and there is a hierarchy, being the male as the top, it was hard for her just to get her father to listen. Sometimes, like even to this day, no matter how old you get, no matter how old you may be or the knowledge you gain from your experiences, no matter how far or how short your distance you traveled or been through, the person is still older than you. They're still above you. It's a hierarchy no matter what. The age is the most important thing, and with age, they're at top. You're going to be below them. Whoever's below that person is going to be below them. Like with my mother and me, there's more of a respect level just because she grew up. She raised me in America, and we talk all the time. She doesn't want me not to have my opinion. But at the same time, she is that embedded like DNA in her, embedded thought training that when she raised the person who's older, no matter if it's male or female, is the one that knows the most and understands the most, no matter who you
I'm actually glad that you brought that up because I feel like for, I mean, I only can speak for my experiences being in a southern black family. We kind of grew up with the same thing, knowing that everybody who's older, you're supposed to respect your elders. You're not supposed to say anything back regardless of how bad they talk about you in front of your face or nothing like that. So I understand that point of like not being listened to or not being respected because you were younger and stuff like that. But I also um, think it's just because the generation thing is because they it's like what you said is what they raised with is how they're raised, and now because you know with our generation we're trying to change parenting and all that stuff. We don't see it as the oldest is the wisest. We see that everybody has a voice, everybody's validated. Kind of was on topic, but I like actually that's what she said. So another barrier, like we said, was generational. And we also talked a little bit about the cultural barriers, but we also got societal with genders, race, sexual orientation, or ability and disability, and other outside sources that can influence negative barriers as well. So then another question would be, do you believe in order to achieve effective communication, you have to have a positive group cohesion? Or do you believe that everybody, let's talk about family, do you believe everybody in your family has to like each other or has to get along with each other to have effective communication? And this is just a throw out question. I have nothing else to say for this.
Mm, like
Mm-hmm.
based on the scenario of the conversation or the topic of the conversation. You can agree, you can talk, but at some points, someone might overpower the other based on what it might be or who it might involve with. Like,
So let me change the question to: do you believe you can have effective communication with somebody you do not like?
oh yeah, no, that's easy. You do that all the time. Like, I don't know anybody that doesn't talk to someone they don't particularly like, but may not dislike at the same time. But
Mm-hmm.
even with coaches, the parents, the friend, I'm not gonna say friends, to acquaintances, to anybody like in the workforce. So you're gonna meet people you don't like, but you have to work with them. You're gonna see them every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still possible to keep it cordial and keep it professional and being an adult about it, or not having to waste your time and being like, oh, I don't like this person. Let me just completely and utterly dismiss him or her.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't like them. I'm like, no, you can say hi, or you can do that, keep it pushing, and all that. So it's definitely possible. You just have to think and be mature in a certain way enough to do it.
I like that. Knowing what problems, um, knowing what the problems are helps us create solutions towards the future, hoping to improve these communication and skills for our families and work relationships. What are some ways that we can improve our communication? Or what part of listening do you find the most
I will answer both questions, but I answer the first one first. I guess I would definitely say people have to state what they're feeling, and people have to be able to listen to hear it, and not be offended so easily. Because it's a two-way street. There's no communication unless the other person communicates to you, and there's no communication unless that person you're communicating with understands you and wants to understand you and wants to do that.
difficult?
And everything is two. There's no one in any of this. So that's that. For the second question, we'll repeat it.
Is what do you find the most difficult about this?
Well, the difficult part about listening is when you truly don't care about a topic or truly don't want to listen to the topic, and you're there listening to it. You don't listen no matter how hard you try. Like that's what it is. But that's in the specific scenario. That's with a lot of people who don't state their opinion based on what I said in the first question. But the most difficult part about listening would be the ability to say something back, because you can grasp information, take it in, and be able to, okay, I understand this, but then speaking it back out and giving wisdom or giving context to what they're looking for, based if it's a question or not, is a better ability to have, because this, then if you can't do that, then there's no conversation. It's just somebody ranting to you and be like, yes, I understand with empathetic, right? You just take it in and then you like, oh yeah, I agree and everything. Being able to spit information back out and having an opinion based on what they said to you is
Okay. So other than what you said, I will other ways that you can help have better communication is a thing called listenable messages, which is basically like short worded sentences using personal pronouns to make it way easier to get your message across. You say like this, that, and the third. You can say instead of giving the whole story, to be like, "I want ice cream." That's a listenable message.
yeah, no, I get
Um, my last question to you is, how do you actually deal with conflict in your family or relationships? But we can talk about family, so we'll talk about family.
for family, doesn't really get addressed too often. If there's conflict, somebody apologizes, get over it and keep pushing. Somebody don't apologize, get over it, keep pushing. Those about the two ways. How I try to do it when there's like a deep conflict. I just suck it up and be the bigger person and say I'm sorry no matter what happened, no matter if it's my fault or not. Because sometimes you just have to be the bigger person. It's all you has to do is fail.
I know for me, recently I started talking it out, but mostly it's what you've been saying. Like I just let it go, going off my back, and keep pushing. But then I learned that that's not a good way for communication because I ended up bottling up my feelings. And then one day I just blew up. Some other ways to deal with conflicts in small groups, which I've been calling this whole thing because it's a family small group, is try to clarify these issues, create a positive discussion environment, discuss the needs rather than solutions, set boundaries, and try to use we type language. To try to wrap this up because it's a kind of a long video. Listening is a key asset of having any type of positive relationship with your family and or job. Using um, using these skills of active listening, such as listenable messages or conflict resolution, can help the concept. Not gonna ask that. I would like to thank Mr. NAHOM today. Thank you so much for being in my video and everybody for watching and have a wonderful day. I am fucking done. You can kiss my ass.